残念ながら勝利した会の要請によりストックホルムの東京への郵便延期することを選択しました。ストックホルムの東京。
Alright guys, welcome to another video. So today we're going to be talking about bumper cutting. Alright guys, so the first thing you need to do when you kind of decide that you're going to cut the bumper is figure out how you're going to cut the bumper. So this video in particular is going to highlight one particular method that I've never seen before. I don't know how I came up with the idea. I just was trying to get my side steps off one day and I didn't have any tools to really do so. I did, however, have a heat gun and a razor blade. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Okay guys, so there's a few different ways you can cut this. I've seen people use angle grinders, rotary tools. I tried a rotary tool. I hated it. Angle grinders just too loud. I like to work at night just because I'm in Arizona, so it's $1.20 during the day. I'm not trying to be outside. So I try to do everything super late at night, 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning, just because I feel like that's the coolest it can possibly be. So I didn't want to do an angle grinder just because it's too loud. I used a rubber trim to kind of go around. I haven't seen many people use this, but I've seen a few people use this. I really do think it gives it more of a finished look because what we are doing is completely DIY, and if done incorrectly, I guess it could look kind of janky. It's not really made to, it's not really a cosmetic thing though. There is a lot of purpose behind cutting your bumper, and the main thing is clearance. A lot of these, like the Lexus for example, it's a Lexus at the end of the day. Although it's made on this great platform, it's built on the Land Cruiser Prado, it's just not made for off-road right out of the gate. It has low clearance bumpers, the side steps touch the floor, right? Like those things need to come off. You can either replace it with a nice front bumper, or if you're someone like me who doesn't feel like buying a front bumper right now, just cut it. I already had big chunks taken out of the bumper from hitting rocks already, so I just went ahead and cut that bumper off, and now I gained myself like 4 or 5 inches of clearance just from cutting that bumper. The next thing for what I'm talking about is you need a heat gun and a razor blade. I'm going to drop links below for all the stuff I talk about, just so you guys can get exactly what I got as far as, you know, the rubber, the heat gun, whatever. It doesn't matter too much. The rubber was kind of important though. I wouldn't recommend, you know, getting, this rubber worked really well, so I would use this rubber trim. Okay, let's dive into the process. So before you even, you know, before you get started, the first thing you want to do is kind of visualize what you want. So if you have any friends or any people you follow on Instagram that have cut bumpers, go look at them. Take a look at what they do. There's a few different ways to do it. You can really just cut super high clearance, take the front bumper out. There's so many different things you can do. You can round it, you can just have a sharp edge. Look at it. Take a few different looks at different examples just to kind of get an idea of what you want to do before you go ahead and start marking it up. Oh, real quick, I did forget to mention this, so I'm going to throw this at the beginning of the process part. Make sure to take off the bolts for the bumper. There are a few bolts underneath. I believe they're 10 mil. There's not too many of them. There's like 5, I think, total. There's also some connecting to the sides, or to the skid plate. Goodness gracious. So there's a few of them connected to the skid plate. Just take all those pieces off. Make sure you disconnect the bumper from the bottom. Don't worry about the top part. You want the top part intact, obviously, because that's staying. All the bottom ones, go ahead and take all those out. Sorry, forgot to mention that. It's in the video now. Don't worry, it's there. The next piece is marking it up. So what I did is I used tape. I just used painter's tape, and I used the bottom line of the tape to kind of be my line and my guide to get through. When you're using something like a rotary tool, you use this so it doesn't damage the top piece, right? The piece that's actually needs to stay as much as possible. I just used it for reference. I was not doing anything that would harm more than the bumper, like a cutting wheel or anything like that. So a razor blade, really, as long as it stays on its line, it's fine. So yeah, just mark it up. I use tape, you'll see. So when you're using the razor blade method, it is really important to make sure both areas are extremely warm, right? The blade itself as well as the cutting area. So what I did is I actually put the blade right over the top of the heat gun itself and just warmed it up for a few seconds. Just let it warm up, and then I went straight to the bumper. And I followed the line, so the line that I was actually cutting, that's what I heated up. I didn't just heat up the whole bumper, I was heating up the line, right? Something else to kind of side note too is if you have your own razor, make sure it's not something like this that's plastic. Obviously you can kind of see why this would be a bad idea. It's plastic, and you heat it up, it's just gonna be melted plastic, it's not a good time. Make sure you're using a metal. If you have gloves too, it does help a little bit. It did get kind of hot, but it's not super important. Okay, so literally all you do is heat it up, heat the blade, and you'll notice as on the video itself, like of me cutting it, it is super smooth. There's very little resistance. If you feel resistance, you're probably cutting the foam underneath the bumper, or you're actually just, it's not hot enough. So heat up a bit more, make sure nothing's behind it, you're not hitting the metal or anything like that, and just glide right through. Okay, so the next thing is once you cut all the way through, what I did is I actually did kind of rough cuts, just to kind of get the bumper cleaned up. And then once the big pieces were off, I went through and just fine-tuned and tried to get as even of a line as I could, as straight of a line. As you can see in the video, it didn't come out perfect, but it still came out really well. Better than I expected, so I'm super okay with it. Again, it wasn't really for cosmetics, it was really just because I was already hitting that bumper, and I don't want to get a new bumper just yet. It is coming though, don't worry. Okay, and then the last piece, once you think it looks good, go ahead and get your rubber seal. So the rubber seal is a little tricky. I did struggle a little bit with it. One piece, I actually had to cut and reattach it. It was kind of a nightmare, but it worked really well, and it feels really secure. I don't think it's going anywhere. So all you do is just kind of line it up. I went ahead and I had to cut the inside of where I started. So the very start of the bumper, I cut flat so I can fit it all the way to the front of the bumper, so it followed the whole bumper rather than starting at an awkward place in the middle of the bumper. So I went ahead and you just seal it all the way through. Again, and you see it. This is all you did. All you do is put the rubber seal on it. And then once that rubber seal's there, take a step back and admire your work because you're done. That's how easy it is. This took me a total of probably a little bit less than an hour, and I was trying to film. So you could probably get it done and knock it out in 30 minutes. With a cutting wheel, with the rotary tool, this would take an hour or two, definitely, just the cutting part. So I would recommend trying out my method. If you're not sure if you want to try it, but you know you want to cut the bumper, a good idea, and this is actually what I did when I first did my rear bumper, is make some practice lines. Cut below the bumper, cut way below you're going to cut, right? On the very bottom of the bumper or something like that. Like, try just practice cutting and see how you like it, see how it flows. That's a really good option. If you figure out a way to make that straight, whether you fashion, I don't know, a jig to hold something there, whatever, let me know in the comments. If you come up with a better idea, let me know. But this worked really well for me. As you can see, the finished product, it looks pretty good. I'm actually pretty stoked on how it came out. I think it looks fine. There are these two big bars that come down on the left and right side, the driver's side and the passenger side of the bumper bar, I guess you can call it. And I don't know what those are. I might take an angle grinder and just take those off, but I'm not sure what they are, if I'll need them when I put on a new bumper. So for now, they're gonna stay, but I might think about it. We'll see. We'll see. But that's it, guys. That's really all I have for this video. It was just kind of a quick one. But this is something that I really couldn't find good documentation on how to do so. And the ones I did used a cutting wheel or an angle grinder. So this is kind of unique, using that razor blade and heat gun method, something I've never seen before, and I just happened to try it and it worked really well. So giving the information back to you guys. So as you can see, guys, I did get a new bumper. I did get the Coastal Off-Road bumper, so that will be talked about in a later video. I just don't feel comfortable talking about something that I haven't really put to the test yet. So don't expect a video anytime soon on that. It will be coming out after I've had some time with it. I have a few other plans for the bumper, so you'll see that. I'll put videos out on that shortly. But yeah, guys, that's gonna be it. That's gonna wrap it up. If you have any questions or concerns, or you want to tell me how you did it, if you found a better way to do it, or you want to say how much you love me, let me know in the comments. Those are always open. Also, down below is my Instagram. Feel free to shoot me a message on Instagram. I'm always open to talking about stuff and nerding out. So yeah, but that's it, guys. That's all I have for you. So have a good one. Happy trails.